In a small town, an ordinary dog captured the curiosity of passers-by as it gazed relentlessly into a mysterious storm drain. What could possibly be hiding down there? When it was finally opened, the astonishing truth left everyone stunned and bewildered. A hungry stray and a compassionate encounter. Many countries have stray dogs, and there was one dog in Turkey that caught people's attention. This dog was shaggy and dirty, and he wandered the streets every day, looking for food and water. Despite his difficult life, he was very friendly and would wag his tail at anyone who showed him kindness. One day, while he was walking down a street, he smelled something delicious and followed the scent to a butcher's shop. This was a normal routine for the dog. He would roam around, searching for any scraps of food or water he could find. On that particular day, his nose led him to the butcher's shop. He stood outside, looking through the window, and watched as customers bought big pieces of meat for their meals. The sight and smell of the food made him realize how hungry he was, and his stomach growled loudly. Annie's compassion. Inside the shop, a young woman named Annie finished paying for a couple of large steaks. As she stepped outside, she heard a gurgle and a whimper. Turning around, she was taken aback to see the stray dog looking back at her with sad eyes. The dog's hunger was evident, and Annie immediately felt empathy towards him. She glanced down at the steaks she had just purchased, contemplating what to do next. Annie decided to take action. Without hesitation, she marched back into the butcher's shop and requested any cut-offs or bones that the butcher wouldn't sell. The compassionate butcher happily provided Annie with what she needed. Armed with the bones and a sense of determination, Annie exited the shop, searching for the stray dog. She soon found him watching her from a distance, cautious yet intrigued. An unexpected bond. Annie knelt down on the ground and offered the bone to the dog. At first, the dog hesitated and kept a safe distance. However, Annie patiently stretched out the food towards him. The dog's curiosity and hunger eventually overcame his caution. Slowly he approached, enticed by the delicious smell of the bone. With a wag of his tail, he accepted the large bone from Annie's hand. Rather than devouring the food right away, the dog picked it up and started walking away. Annie was puzzled by this unexpected behavior, but she didn't dwell on it. She got up, brushed off her clothes, and headed back home. Little did she know that this encounter marked the start of an extraordinary bond. The next day, as Annie strolled down the street, she spotted the familiar stray dog. His eyes lit up with recognition, and he happily bounded toward her, wagging his tail. Annie couldn't help but smile at the dog's enthusiastic greeting. Although she had obligations, she made a point to purchase some sausages from a nearby shop as a treat for the dog. Once again, the dog accepted the food but walked away without eating it. This routine continued for several days. Annie would come across the stray dog, who eagerly awaited her presence. Each time she brought him treats, and each time the dog would leave the food untouched and walk away. Annie's curiosity grew, but her busy schedule prevented her from following the dog and discovering his intentions. The mystery unveiled. On the third day, Annie found the stray dog again. But this time, it seemed like the dog was waiting for her. Annie had started carrying treats in her bag, hoping to give them to the poor stray. As Annie approached the dog with a smile, she gave him the treats she had. But this time, instead of leaving after eating, the dog turned around and walked away, with Annie following behind. They ended up on a busy street, where the shaggy dog went towards a storm drain. The dog sat next to the drain and looked inside. Then, he dropped one of the treats Annie had given him into the drain before eating his own. Annie was very confused. She wondered why the dog was doing this. Over the next few days, Annie would find the dog sitting and staring into the storm drain. Whenever she brought him treats, he would always drop half of the food into the drain before eating the rest. Annie became so curious that she decided to see for herself what was so interesting in the drain, but she was completely surprised by what she discovered. Annie cautiously approached the storm drain, feeling tired and cautious of the dog guarding it. Surprisingly, the canine showed no signs of aggression and merely observed her with curiosity. Standing directly above the drain, Annie peered inside and was startled by what she saw. Without delay, she reached for her phone and dialed the fire department, knowing she would need their assistance. Approximately half an hour later, a pair of firefighters arrived on the scene, eager to uncover the problem at hand. Annie wasted no time explaining the situation to them, and without delay, the men sprang into action. However, as they approached the storm drain, they were met with a growl from a stray dog, causing them to hesitate. Uncertainty hung in the air, but Annie stepped forward, brimming with a solution. Approaching the dog cautiously, Annie reassured him that the firefighters were there to lend a helping hand. She extended a treat as a gesture of goodwill, and as the dog cautiously approached, she seized the opportunity to hold him back, preventing him from obstructing the drain. With the stray dog safely out of the way, the firefighters began to pry open the storm drain. Word of the unfolding scene spread like wildfire, drawing a crowd to the bustling street where the drain lay. Anticipation mounted as the firefighters toiled, until finally, they revealed the source of the stray dog's unwavering attention, a tiny kitten cradled in the arms of one of the firefighters. The astonishing sight left everyone in awe, but there was more to come. Not once, not twice, but 4 more times, the firefighters delved into the depths of the storm drain, each time emerging with another kitten nestled in their protective embrace. Annie's eyes widened in disbelief. She had caught a glimpse of something when she peered in earlier, but never could she have fathomed that 5 precious, adorable kittens were trapped below. In an unexpected twist, the stray dog managed to wriggle free from Annie's grasp and bounded over to the firefighters, where the kittens were now held. His tail wagged with uncontrollable delight as he sniffed at the tiny felines, who responded with gentle mews of their own. Driven by curiosity, Annie approached the firefighters to learn more about the kittens' harrowing ordeal. They explained that the heavy rain had likely swept the kittens into the drain, but despite their entrapment, they had managed to endure without going hungry. At that moment, Annie's gaze shifted towards the stray dog. She realized that it was thanks to his daily acts of generosity, sharing his own food, that the kittens had survived their trying ordeal. Witnessing such selflessness, Annie knew exactly what she had to do. She informed the firefighters that she would take the kittens under her care, raising them until they were ready to find new homes. The firefighters readily agreed and entrusted the kittens to Annie's loving embrace. As Annie set off on her journey back home, a sudden change of heart compelled her to turn around and call out to the stray dog. "Come on, Benny," she exclaimed warmly. "It's time to go home." With uncontainable joy, Benny happily bounded up to her. His newfound companionship with the kittens solidified. When the kittens grew older, Annie ensured that 4 of them found loving homes. As for Benny, she couldn't bear to part ways with him after witnessing his extraordinary act of compassion. He had become an integral part of their family, finding a loving home alongside Fudge, the kitten Annie kept for herself. Together they formed a harmonious and contented family. Not a trace of worry lingered in the hearts of Fudge and Benny, as they knew they would never endure life on the streets again. Annie's love for her feline and canine companions knew no bounds, and they reciprocated that love wholeheartedly. They were bound by an unbreakable bond, forever cherishing the extraordinary journey that brought them together.